Hello, Ian.
Hello, Yoky.
Hi. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
So, let's talk about your childhood. Because I respect you, admire you, and I know you have an awesome story to tell. But before we get into any of that, let's talk about who you were as a kid.
Who I was as a kid, I was very energetic and I was definitely a kid that got on with every type of person.
Yeah.
So I had a teacher that used to say that I was like, because I was quite smart at school, and I had a teacher that used to always say that I seemed to get on with every single group. So I was a little bit maybe a chameleon. And I loved being around people outside, playing parts of groups. You know, I was out the house a lot. So yeah, I would say I was very high energy.
Okay. Yeah. And how was your relationship with your parents, and what were they like?
Well, you know, it's difficult now to think about what I was like when I was really young because it's hard to not kind of vilify those memories. But like, I guess I was very close to my grandmother growing up. And so she lived just down the road.
Your mom's or your dad's?
My mum's mum, yeah. So she would have been someone I was very close with. So all my kind of childhood memories, the good ones, always kind of revolved around her. Not to say there wasn't any with my parents, they're just not so prevalent.
Yeah.
And I think that home, you know, it was like when I was very young, I had a good relationship with my dad because we were little and he knew what to do with us when we were young. Like,
You were little.
yeah, it was like play at home and, you know, but once we started to have opinions and personalities of our own, I think it became quite difficult. Also, like, you know, I'm an alcoholic in recovery and that usually runs in families. So in our home, there was a lot of drinking and house parties. And I think then as a kid, I would have been like a witness to far too much adult stuff and part of adult conversations that probably now in hindsight, you know, wasn't good for me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like quite inappropriate, intrusive kind of vibes, no?
Yeah, and also just this idea that kids are like a nuisance. I was born in 1984, so kids were seen and not heard. And kids in one room, adults partying in the other. That was just kind of, it was the 90s. You mean all families were like that, you know? But also I'm from Scotland, so there's a big drinking culture. And there was a lot of like, a lot of the lifestyle around most houses in the area where I grew up revolved around people going out and getting drunk.
I see. Yeah. So when you had a bad day, who did you go to?
My gran.
Your gran, yeah.
I went to my granny's every day after school anyway. It was on my way home. It was kind of, I loved being there. Sometimes I used to hang out there all night and study, and sometimes I would just stay over. Because my grandfather on that side of my family died when I was 8. So I would go to my gran's every day. I was very close to her. But I feel like also I would have done anything to avoid going home. So like I was, you know, I was very good at being a house guest as a kid. I didn't recognise this until I was an adult. And I heard someone else who's also a sober friend of mine say they were a really good house guest. And I'm very good at being in other people's homes and not being a bother. Even now, like I travel a lot for work as a comedian. I stay in other people's houses and they're like, oh, you're just the most self-sufficient house guest. And so like as an adult, I would have then become kind of hyper independent, which isn't a great thing. And then, you know, I think that's the thing, like to go back and look at your childhood and then rip it apart, you know, I haven't leaned into the bad things because all those little traumas or the times I was ignored or that felt in the way or work it out on your own or parents that didn't seem particularly interested in my life or my dreams has made me into the person I am now. And I'm pretty cool with that guy.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
I think trauma is about perspective. So one person's trauma is, so I have a Filipino partner. He talks to me about his childhood and I nearly fall off my seat. He's like, we have to, but he's not complaining. He's like, yeah, him and his sister will be like, when we used to have to get up and sweep the whole house at 5 o'clock, then get water from the well because there was no electricity in the house until he was 6, and then go to school and come back and then do more housework. And I was like, were you a slave? You know, like, but, you know, he just reminds me I'm white. And so it's, I think, you know, what might be a trauma for one person isn't going to be a trauma for the other.
Yeah.
And I really think that, you know, some people feel they're traumatized because their parent never ever came to see their school play. Well, I was always praying that my parents wouldn't come and see mine, you know, like I was like, oh, just don't show up, you'll embarrass me. So yeah, I think it's
What did your
different for
parents
everyone.
do?
Well, my dad worked in shipbuilding, he built boats, so it was industrial, and my mum worked in a factory, so it was working class.
Yeah. How, like, you know, it fascinates me how the class thing in the UK is very pronounced. Yeah, like how do you think it impacts you these days as an adult, having coming from a working class background?
Well, now I've been able to embrace it. I don't think it holds me back. Some people are like, you know, you get working class comedians and it's true, like, you know, the arts is something where if you come from money, it's easier for you because you don't need to worry about paying your bills. But I think that it gave me stories and it gave me my sense of humor and it gave me that work ethic I have. Like, I do think I work harder than a lot of people. And then I get the outcomes of someone who works hard. Because I work hard, I don't drink hard. So in working class families, you work hard and then you get wasted. And so, but the kind of, you know, in working class families, it was always like, don't take days off, even if you're sick, work through it. I mean, I know this is rich talking to a Chinese woman, but you work through it. We don't get sick. We don't believe in problems. You know, it was just like, life's hard, get used to it. That's kind of the family I grew up in, and in some ways that was useful, in some ways it wasn't. I think that when I was younger, I really wanted to be another class. Like, I went to a high school that had, everyone seemed to have more money than us and live in nicer parts of town. And I wanted to be like their families. I wanted to have the cleaning lady that came in and the woman that cooked. And one of my friends had this woman that used to come in, and both his parents were doctors. And I just thought, wow, what must that be like?
The dream.
Yeah, but then I realised, like, actually, I don't know what kind of relationship he had with his parents either, or
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like
You never
what
know.
his experience was. I'm just on the outside looking in.
Yeah. And that leads to like this topic about privilege. You know, like, what's your thoughts on privilege as a concept? Because my perspective as a therapist is like, you can't. I mean, like, yes and no. Like, yes, you can assume based on the social, economical background of someone, but also the psychological inner world. You know, you can never assume. So you can never assume that like one straight white man from upper class, you know, London, has a much better life than the opposite. You know.
Your problems shift. So problems are relative. You know, I've seen people. So I'm in sobriety. I'm 9 years sober, and I've seen people with lots of money and privilege not be able to understand it because the money has got in the way of them being able to. They've been so used to being able to throw money at problems, they couldn't buy their way out of drug addiction, and they lost their lives. They went to the best rehabs, but you know, if getting sober was only for the richest, then most of the planet would be dead, right? So. Like, they say you should never be too handsome, too clever, or too rich. Well, I was none of those things when I got sober. So, like, sometimes the what we consider, you know, like, poor little rich girl problems, like, we dehumanize them. And I'm very careful to not do that because people only seem to have a problem with dehumanization in one way. You know, like we were talking before we started recording, like almost like the virtue flaggers or the people that jump on board a cause. I've seen a lot of people join, you know, LGBT and trans rights over the last few years that didn't want anything to do with us a few years ago, and now they've decided it's a big deal because they've got nothing else to do, you know, and it feels like that. It's like, and without even listening. So I'll give you an example. Like, if you say to someone who's going to gay pride, who isn't gay, why are you going? They say, fight for gay rights. I went, can you name the rights that gay people don't have? They can't name them because they don't know we have them, which is such a savior complex to be fighting for something you haven't even researched, right? To not know that actually we have equality under the law, and the problem that we're having is an attitude problem, not a legal problem, and that we need to be working on our PR, right? Same as under the law it's not legal to pay women less, right? But the attitude is that you can. Right? We're having like an attitude problem.
So how does that impact you when someone's being a virtual signaler and, you know, or, you know, very, very, dehumanizing the other party or side of things, or even idealizing what, you know, being LGBTQ means, you know, how does that impact you?
Well, I think it puts us on a pedestal and it turns us into caricatures. Like, so when I was younger...
I love that phrase.
You know, when I came out, I was very young, I was 14, and then I was tired. The reason why I started marching at Gay Pride is because I didn't want to be introduced as the gay friend anymore. And then you're trying to work out who you are because, you know, back then we didn't really come out, we didn't have any examples in school. You never had a boyfriend in high school. Nowadays, gay kids have little relationships, little romances, but I had my first boyfriend at 18, and so I was kind of going through my first heartbreak then, you know, it was like the things that people get out of the way when they're 12, 13. And so then you're like, what kind of gay person am I? Am I a twink? Am I a bear? Am I whatever? You know, like there's all these subcategories and you realise, the love is love people actually have quite a lot of rules. And then people assume that you'll love to go shopping and you're into fashion, and then you know, for me, I was searching for belonging. So I did the drugs, I went to the nightclubs, I danced in a cage for a while, I was a podium dancer for a while. So cool. Like I did all the things that, you know, and really the whole time I was running away from myself. And I think that now, you know, being gay is a footnote in an otherwise quite remarkable life. And that's kind of what gets lost when someone fights on your behalf, is that they are almost looking for an identity themselves by fighting for something, you know, because you're not doing it quietly, you're doing it quite publicly. Your idea of activism is to post about it on Instagram. You don't actually show up for the marches, you don't put your money where your mouth is, you don't, you know, I help a lot of homeless people because I used to be homeless, and the amount of people that say to me after my show, God, I'd love to get involved, and I'm like, contact these people. No one ever really does it. What they want to do is they want to give me money to go and help the homeless. They don't actually want to do it themselves. And people think they're furthering people's rights because they're posting about it on Instagram. But you're not. You're bringing attention to yourself by using that conflict in Gaza, or someone, you know, a trans person being killed, or a gay person experiencing homophobia. You're using it as a way of being like, look, I'm a good person. If you're really a good person, you would do it somewhere quietly in the background. Right, that for me is what it really looks like. It's the, you know, I saw this thing the other day saying, if you want to be truly kind, if you want to be a kind person, start at home. And so it's not the kindness to strangers or how lovely you are to the woman at the bus stop. Because if you come home and you scream at your kids, kick the dog and shout at your husband, like that's where kindness starts, right? And so I come from a family where kindness and generosity and love was performative, and it was for people outside our four walls. So at home, our home was very angry, it didn't feel emotionally safe. So I worked very hard at trying to be who I am everywhere. I don't want to be an Ellen. R.I.P.
I think it's about the authenticity.
Authenticity is a choice, it's not a given. I don't think there's such thing as authentic people and inauthentic people. I think that you make inauthentic choices, right? You're inauthentic when you're chasing an ideal of what you think people expect you to be. Authenticity for me is a choice. I'm a natural born liar, manipulator, cheater. That's what addiction looks like for me. To get what I want, If I want what I want, I'll do what it takes. So every day I make a conscious choice to move in the opposite direction.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like, we recently lost someone in the comedy scene, as you know. And I was speaking to their partner when I went to visit her. And I says, I'm not going to publicly post about it because it's not about me. That's like, this is someone I knew and I liked from being out in the scene.
Yeah.
And I want to be helpful quietly in the background.
Yeah.
And I want to be of service to people. But that means that's not about drawing attention to me.
Yeah,
like when there was the bombings in Paris and everyone suddenly changed their Facebook profile pic to the Eiffel Tower. You're not actually helping the French. You're drawing attention to how you feel about it and your feelings about it. And for people to say sorry for your loss, sorry about what happened to you, like nothing's happened to me. Like, where I can be the most helpful is in the background. Do you need anything from the supermarket? Can I cook for you? Can I just quietly moving through life, trying to support people?
Yeah. Same. I feel the same
Yeah.
way. Yeah. I feel like there are subjects that I would feel like loud about to raise awareness, but then there are also like the subtle things that you just don't talk about when you do it. Yeah. And there is a concept called like, I don't know, like essentialism, which is like, this might be a different topic. So essentialism is like when you, for example, women or gay people, we kind of like, we become a group when we try to like negotiate about our interests or something, even though within this group we're so different, you know? And then who points out who is a spokesperson for this group? Like, you know, no one can really say who is that person. So that becomes interesting. So I guess I do want to talk about, like, you know, this whole like trans kids, you know, left, right, what you're supposed to say, what you cannot joke about in comedy. Just like, do you think there are certain things people just can't joke about in comedy, or everything goes?
No, I think anybody can joke about anything.
Okay.
I think you need to ask yourself if it's actually funny. But yeah, I'm not into any form of censorship. Who decides what's funny? Also, some people are shock jocks, so they'll say something to be shocking, but like, some people are offended when I make jokes about gay people and I'm gay. And it's people that are not gay that are offended. Like, it's so bizarre. Like, I was like, you don't, you know, I think we live in, because we can consume things at home, right? It used to be people go and see comedians they want to see. Now you can sit at home and not like Dave Chappelle, he's very divisive, right? Well, the person watching Dave Chappelle at home isn't someone who would ever have bought a ticket to see him. They're not his fan. They've watched it looking to be upset. We didn't used to be able to consume comedy like that when I was a child. You had to go out and buy the VHS. So you had to actually be a fan to buy it.
That reveals your age.
So yeah. So like, whenever someone comes to see my solo show, it would be very difficult for me to make a joke that they didn't like, because they're already on my side, because they've bought a ticket to see me specifically. When you're on an open mic, it's when it goes either ways, and I don't care if you don't find me funny at an open mic. Funny at an open mic, that's not what they're for.
But are you ever afraid of saying one wrong thing and get cancelled?
I'm only ever, I said this the other day in the green room, so I did the LGBT show here in Barcelona, and it's the only time I ever get worried of offending people is actually at gay shows. By my own people.
Same.
I don't ever worry about offending anywhere else, but I do think, you know, anywhere where I mean, I made a joke out of it, but there was a couple of girls there, they were fabulous, and they were from LA, and I was doing a bit of crowd work, I was hosting. And they were like, yes. And I went, don't snap your fingers. I was like, laugh and clap. I says, if you're going to free Palestine, you're not going to do it clicking your fingers. Like, if that's the energy you're bringing to the knife fight, right? Like, you're going to lose. I will break your fingers. Like, I say, like, I'm just so glad that gay people got their rights before activism was clicking your fingers and posting a rainbow on Instagram. Like, because that isn't what it looks like. If you do your queer history research, it was white stockbrokers who were racist but gay fighting alongside black cross-dressers and drag queens and trans women and lesbians. They didn't like each other, but they had a common goal, right? Which I guess answers your question, because the higher purpose became more important than their personal feelings about the nuance of this white guy not liking a black person, this black guy feeling offended by the white person. Like, they put their racism aside, because we're talking about the 50s and 60s here, right? They put their racism aside to fight for the common goal. I think where we've lost ourselves is, if you go to any gay pride march now, it's very difficult to know what we're marching for, because it's about everything. It's become like this kind of Knickerbocker glory of, you know, every political affiliation and what people consider to be, it's all intersectional. But intersectionality means that there's gay people out there that feel excluded by definition, because you can be a Zionist gay person, right? Does that mean, like, I'll give you a really good example. People loved Caitlyn Jenner when she came out as trans, and then when they realised she was Republican, they started to backpedal, and then they said, well, she doesn't really speak for us, so do we not support her rights as a trans woman or not? Is it, do we, when we say we support her rights and access to medical care, are we surprised that she transitioned and was still a white Republican woman, right? Like, where was the, you know, do you think everyone, like, that she had some very concerning views about gay marriage, and people thought that she was going to suddenly be lovely overnight? I mean, she's, you know, she's a Jenner. She comes from the Kardashian clan. Like, you can't get that rich and be lovely. So, you know what I mean? Like, I said to my friends, we have to sometimes accept that even Kylie Minogue is sometimes a bitch, right? You don't get to stay wealthy by being lovely all the time. So it's like, the thing for me is, like I was saying to you before, I'm in recovery. I will fight for your right to not die of alcohol and drug addiction, even if you think my existence is an abomination. And that's the future of humanity.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and that's what it looks like for me. My show is for everyone. I got asked on a radio interview whether, just randomly, oh, so your show doesn't have any jokes about Trump in it? And I went, how dare you ask me that question? I was like, I don't care who you voted for. I don't think you deserve to be homeless. I don't think you deserve to die by suicide. And I don't think you deserve to live a life of addiction.
Totally.
Even if you voted for my political opposite.
Exactly.
And so my way in life is to try and understand why people voted the way they voted. And if you are homophobic or transphobic, and I'm the only person from the LGBT community you're ever going to meet, I want it to be a beautiful experience that makes you change your mind.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's about, like, unconditional love.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because we grew up, many of us grew up with no unconditional love. So now we reflect that in our selection of people. Be like, oh, you're with me or you're not.
And also understanding that unconditional love doesn't mean that people are in your actual life, right? It's like, I act like the person I want to see in the street. And if you're screaming at someone for them to be more tolerant, do you not see how ironic that is? Like, you know what I mean? It's so counterproductive. Like, if screaming at people worked, we'd all be vegan, right? Like, we've all seen it, where people put pictures of animals dying and cover themselves in blood, and, you know, like the climate protesters throwing balloons of paint at, like, these pieces of art, you know, that have existed for hundreds of years. It hasn't woken anyone up, right? It is not working, because we are no longer living in the age of nuance and healthy debate. And the reason why people get annoyed when I say that, but the reason why I have my rights as a gay person now is because some old Christian fart who thought that all gays were going to hell sat down at the table with us anyway. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't like us. He thought we should all die. He thinks that God doesn't want gay people around, but they sat at the table and they heard what we had to say.
Yeah.
And now we don't want to listen to what anyone has to say.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah, and that's scary too.
And very frightening.
Like that's what polarizes people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all, like, I know that things are not perfect on our side of the street and we feel like we have more rights to fight for without acknowledging I've seen gay people get so many rights in the years I've been alive and I'm only coming up for 42, so like you know, without it, yeah, there's always ways to go for everyone, women included, but this idea that we've kind of turned into the thing that we used to protest, this kind of not willing to listen, always looking for a way to catch people out, trying to get people to lose their jobs because of an opinion they hold. Well, you used to...
It's a witch hunt.
It's a witch hunt, but you used to lose your job for being homosexual, right?
Yeah.
And we all got upset when they were doing that in Russia. You know, 10 years ago, when people were going on to Grindr to find out who was gay, luring them into the apartments and then outing them to their employers.
Really? Wow.
Everyone in the West went nuts. Well, we're basically doing the a right-wing version of that. We find out that you hold a certain opinion or you like J.K. Rowling. Crazy. And now we want you to no longer to be able to work, pay your mortgage or feed your children. Like, how are we elevating the world by acting like that?
Yeah, it comes back to that word you said,
dehumanization.
I mean, like, you know, I come from the socialist communist China where we went through the Cultural Revolution and 10 years of that, and that was the trauma of extreme left. And so so from the history, from the legacy that we still, you know, live from it now, from the trauma that's cross-generational, so we have a first-hand experience of what it feels like to go through that, the ideological warfare, the ousting your own family back then, and then millions of people, like, you know, get basically brutalized in this process and traumatized. So then, and the West in general, like they didn't live from that. They lived through the opposite. They lived from the Nazis and all that. So the West kind of like now some of them idealize socialism, idealize communism, and but they don't really know the consequence of that from our perspective. You know? And for me, as a comedian, like I'm always, you know, in support of freedom of speech just because I didn't experience that. And then people here, because they had it, and then they're like, let's restrict freedom of speech. Let's make
freedom of some speech.
So it's just heartbreaking to see that polarization without the empathy that we just went through the opposite traumas growing up. Yeah,
but also like this censoring of, like, I think about it on like a social media level where you have to change language so that you don't get your account deleted, right? So on one hand we tell young kids, and I talk about this a lot, like we tell young kids, if you're going through something, you have to be able to verbalize it, you need to talk if you're feeling a certain way. And then when I was a child, we watched a lot of TV. Now kids get a lot of information through social media, and you can't use certain words on social media because it'll get you banned. You have to say unalive, you have to say grape, you have to say SA. So if what we're saying is don't have any shame around anything that happens to you, speak to someone, but also don't say it online because it will get your account blocked, are we not saying are we not implying that it is actually shameful, right? That actually we aren't letting you share on a public level words that are just a human experience, right? Like that you're the victim of a crime and you can't even explain that crime online without fear of having your social media buried. So it's like these kind of levels of weird ass censorship are kind of everywhere in our life, and it programs the lens by which we see people, right? Because people are already waiting on you to be wrong, right? Without ever having a look at themselves. I mean, like, it's why so many people are perpetually single. I read an article that said that our grandparents were having more sex than us. Well, they didn't, I always say in my show, they didn't know their tits were saggy because they didn't have apps, right? So they didn't have high definition porn. They just thought everybody's tits looked like theirs. But they didn't have anything to compare themselves to. And it's like, now everyone's always looking for the perfect one without asking if they are the one, right? So I had a friend recently say to me, I want a guy that's like this and like that, and like explaining, and I was like, well, have you asked yourself if someone like that would want to be with a person like you? Right? And it really upset her. She didn't speak to me for a week, but like, it's the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, you want a guy with an amazing body, you don't go to the gym. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ask you want a guy with a lot of money? Well, he's always at work, like earning that money. You're second to his career. Like, you have to ask yourself if, like, and what people want is perfect, and perfect doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I also think as well, like, the weaponization of, like, you know, medical diagnosis. Like, if you've self-diagnosed yourself with anything, you're probably wrong. And if you feel like, you know, this is, you know, before I was ever in sobriety, every article I read about a different mental illness, I was sure I had it. But then once you have that label, it becomes your responsibility to find a way to connect to a world that constantly feels like it's against you. I always use the analogy of the left-handed person with a right-handed door handle. All door handles are set up for right-handed people. Even our handwriting in the West is set up for right-handed people, right? But left-handed people somehow manage to get on with life without protesting and downing tools.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we live in the age of whatever's wrong with you being the excuse for not even trying.
Yeah, like this, like being a victim is hot.
Being a victim is hot these days, yeah. Yeah. And if anybody had a reason to be a victim, I have it. And I think you can be victimized without being a victim.
Yeah. And that reminds me of this notion of race. It's like, like I'm quote unquote a person of color, like using the word from, you know, this yeah, I don't really like that word, but sure. So I think previously I was told, and I believed in, I'm oppressed as a minority immigrant woman, queer in the colonizing, you know, world from the past. But then as I aged and I grew and I came back to claim my roots in China, blah blah blah, just my work over the years, I realized that no, I am and I'm not. I'm like, it could be both at the same time. But then the society is not encouraging that other side of the narrative, which is like, no, like you as a white man, you're not oppressing me right now. And the race, it's just one element, but also it's up to us to do our internal work to overcome that, to empower ourselves and to actually feel more resilience than someone who comes from a different background, blah, 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 you know? So I think the society is lacking this ownership of our internal world. Yeah,
I agree. Like, I feel like as like a young, like, I don't like the word queer. Because it doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, it's an umbrella term, isn't it? And you can't protect the rights of an umbrella. So, like, for me, I'm a gay man, and it's very specific and it's definable. Like, if somebody says queer rights, I don't really know what that means. So,
that's true.
So you have to be able to use language, and some people are offended by me saying that, and I don't care. But I think that a lot of young gay people or young lesbians or, you know, trans people coming out now, if they believe what they see online, it's like they're constantly on attack and people are trying to kill them. I just don't see any evidence of that in my real life. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying it's probably rare. I mean, when I was younger, like, going out and partying in Glasgow when I was like 16, 17, there was one part of the city where we were free to do what we wanted to do. But you would never hold your boyfriend's hand in the street. You would never kiss them goodbye. It's not like that anymore. It's just like a different place. And also, we live in Barcelona, which is like, you actually need to be scared if you're straight here. I mean, it's like, and I think it's the wrong messaging, that it's a fabulous, wonderful time to be alive. We have access to so much information. We have access to so much beauty and culture and art, and we're kind of living our lives like we're in WALL-E. And have you seen that animation, WALL-E?
I think I saw
Yeah,
it,
where
but
they go to outer space, they're fat and they're just on like wheelchairs going everywhere. It's like we're becoming obsessed with being comfortable and non-offended all the time, and that's just not how life works. I think that being upset and triggered, quote unquote, or whatever it is, you know what, you don't die from that. You get through it and then you become a much better person. It's like when you bomb on stage at a comedy show. Do you know what, your life doesn't end and your career isn't over? Like, and I say to comedians all the time, like, you know, if the worst thing that happened to you today is no one laughed at your jokes, you have an amazing life. Like, because I've had a hard life, and it wasn't because people weren't laughing at my jokes. It's because I had nowhere to live. I lived in the street. The police were threatening to shoot my dog, and I didn't know where I was going to get my next meal from, and I was addicted to drugs. So don't come at me and tell me I'm oppressed now. Life is not that hard for me. Do you know how good my life is? I can go on tour as a comedian and not make it about me being gay. Right? 20 years ago, the only gay people you saw on television were these like very acceptable to the straight people, like caricatures, over the top, objectified gay people that spoke about sleeping with loads of men or making crude jokes about having sex in the bushes with politicians. You know, one comedian that was always on TV when I was younger, and we love them, Julian Clary, was like, you know, non-gender specific, you know, makeup, eyeliner, making lots of rude jokes, basically a jester for the straight people, the kind of gay that were willing, like the RuPauls, you know, like, but, you know, that's not where we are now. We raise families, we have good jobs, we buy homes, we can't be fired for being homosexual, but you wouldn't know that's how much rights we have based on the way we kind of, the way we're, so I'll give you an example. A friend of mine worked in a project for gay men's health in Scotland, and he said, we're the same age, he's my best friend, he said, where's all the happy gay stories, you know, the stories of the, like me, I'm engaged to my partner, we're getting married, where are all those happy gay stories? And he said, his boss said, oh, there's no funding for happy gay stories. So basically all they have money for is to perpetuate this idea that all gay kids are suicidal, all gay kids, well, yeah, a lot of teenagers in general are suicidal. Like, it's just, that's being young. It's not a gay problem, right? Being misunderstood isn't a gay problem. Feeling like you don't belong. I've been going to Alcoholics Anonymous long enough to know that everybody in that room has felt like an outsider, and they aren't all gay, right? So I think we're kind of selling young people short, when really what we should be saying is like, see that feeling you have of loneliness and disconnection, it turns out everyone feels like that. You're having a human experience, and we're all going to get through it together. But by putting a rainbow flag on it, we kind of put the shields up and we say, you won't understand this, you're not gay. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, this is the identity politics of it. You're absolutely right. I agree. Some of it is just universal human experience, and you know, in Buddhism, it's like, you know, life is suffering, you know. And how it affects me as a comedian is like when I want to shine light on these kind of nuances and topics, there's a daring consequence to that, because it's like, oh, you're not honoring some groups' struggles when that struggle could be universal. And it's a weird world that we live in right now.
But when did we all become TED talkers? Right? That's the thing. Like, I didn't ask, so I did a show recently and I made a joke about gay people, and a lesbian woman went up to the host and said, he doesn't speak for all of us, you know. And I said to the host, I don't speak for any lesbians. Like, that's not who I'm speaking for. Like, I might say a lot of things in my comedy. I don't speak on behalf of anyone. So I find it really bizarre if someone gets offended by one of my jokes, because it's usually someone who also, like when I started out, you know, I made a couple of jokes about, you know, how gay pride is just like a big orgy. And actually, like, it's meant to be a political march. And can you imagine if International Women's Day was like that? like they'd have their kids taken off them, you know, like having sex on top of police cars and stuff. And one of the hosts made a comment about me being like, you know, basically the wrong kind of gay, and I thought to myself, well, but you're a straight woman. Like, I just don't know why you, like, I would never tell a woman she was the wrong kind of woman because she doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Could you imagine me saying to someone, you're not a real woman because you're not a mother? Like, that's, you know, we all accept that there's many ways to be a woman in this world, but there is still this one way to be gay for them. Right? And it's the boy who goes shopping with them and tells them they're fabulous all the time. Well, maybe you're not. Right? Like, maybe we are tired of that. Maybe
we're just humans.
We just want to get on with our day. I mean, like, the most remarkable thing about me is I'm unremarkable. Like, I was saying the other day, me and my partner are moving into a new house. And I was like, we're living the dream. Like, we're engaged, we have our 3 little dogs, I go on tour, I come home, we're in a monogamous relationship, we love each other, we have a drama-free life, we don't go to nightclubs 6 days a week. So if that's what you want to do, good for you, but it's not what we want to do. And we've earned the right to not play the part of the pantomime gay. Right? We've earned the right to be boring and unremarkable at home.
Exactly.
That's, when I was younger, that was what we always wanted. Was to be like our parents. We're just like you. You don't need to be scared of us. We're normal just like you. And now we're kind of obsessed with being almost anti-heterosexual. Like, we're different, we're special, which, you know, I get it. We have things about us that make us different.
It's like your life is not a statement.
Yeah, it's not a statement. And it's not a trend. You know, and it's
yeah.
not.
I love this conversation because I feel like ultimately the theme we've been talking about is like this nuance.
Yeah.
This refusing to be in a box.
And accepting everyone, like, you know, just because, you know, like when people make comments, like female friends of mine make comments, are like, well, you're not a real gay, you know, what, because I don't go shopping and go out drinking, and being a real gay almost killed me. Right, I was in the club 7 nights a week. I went to the gay saunas. I did drugs. I went to the sex parties. Being a real gay in this time is killing people, right? It's, you know, being cavalier with your body. You know, when I came out, I was young, so a lot of the parties, you know, were full of older men, and they were all men who had watched all their friends die during the AIDS epidemic. So we had no smartphones back then because I came out in 1998. So I started going clubbing when I was 16 in the year 2000. So we had Snake on our phone. It was a Nokia. But when you were at a party, you were really involved in the conversations. I'm still friends with some of those people now. And we heard about the lovers they'd lost and the friends they'd had to say goodbye to. And it made me want to be responsible with my body, and it made me want to be choosy with my body. I then forgot that in Barcelona and turned into a massive slut. But like this idea of like what calling it fabulous when really we're seeing someone with very poor mental health, searching for who they are, having, you know, if you want to have sex with multiple partners in a week, that's great, but can you look at yourself in the mirror and say that you're doing it because you love yourself? That's the only thing I care about. You can do whatever you want with your life, but if it's coming from a place of self-harm, you are never going to win. Stop telling me you're fabulous, covered in body glitter, when I know you've had 2 suicide attempts this year and you can't get anyone to be your boyfriend. Like, this is, like, you know, we're lying to ourselves in a kind of like, you know, mass level. And I don't have a problem with the gay community. Like, what identifies itself as the gay community is really a nightlife, right? It's not a community, because when I get sober, I wasn't welcome. But it's more of a nightlife. So, like, if that's what the gay community looks like, and that's what represents all of us, then it's a bunch of people being really bitchy to each other, snapping their fingers and being sassy, and not admitting that they might have a drug problem. So, like, that's not the community I want to be in.
Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of strength to be out there and be
I lost
yourself.
all my friends, all of them, when I got sober.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Like, you almost have to have this, like, death to that whatever facade or identity, you know, that helped you fit in, but in a very superficial way. And then come back to yourself and take that ownership of your own voice at any cost.
Yeah. And the universe gives you what you are, not what you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that it did give me who I was, and that was someone who didn't like himself very much and used his body as currency, and was bouncing from place to place just trying to get someone to love him. Completely inauthentic, unable to tell the truth even when the truth was easier. And then when I got sober and I started doing a lot of work on myself, I make people who are like the old me very uncomfortable. Like they don't want to be around me. They say things like, you don't drink and you don't do drugs, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, the fact that you think there's nothing else to do I've only ever been a comedian sober. I've never been drunk on stage. I've never.
Nice.
So I'm a professional. I don't go to events and say the wrong thing. I don't get into, how it is in the comedy scene. I don't get into fights. I don't get into arguments. I'm not sleeping with someone's boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty vanilla in my life, and I've earned the right to be this boring. Right? I don't find my life boring. I think I'm fascinating. And my favourite company is my own.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, and I think to be able to reach this, like to to be in such good company of yourself, I feel like it takes lots of strength and ownership of your own feelings, so that you're not pleasing people, you're not bending over backwards to belong. You're in such integrity of your own path that it's you can take it when people hate you, misunderstand you, or not on your side, but then you're okay with that, so that you can hold the love when you can hold the hate.
And you have to be able to, if you say you love yourself, you also have to be able to admit that you make mistakes. And totally. I don't see a lot of people, if you believed everyone I speak to, the reason why their boyfriend left them was never their fault. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, well, that can't be true. Like, part of getting sober was cleaning the wreckage of my past, and part of cleaning the wreckage of my past was I did a lot of things wrong, right? But so did they, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you were there, you stayed, you were part of it.
You're adults.
You're adults, and that's been a really magical experience to be able to forgive others because I love myself. And even now with my relationship I'm in now, asking myself if it's worth. We don't really fight, like we don't argue in the sense of how you would imagine an argument to look like. We don't always agree, but in the end, I always look at the bigger picture, and most things are not a hill I am willing to die on. And also, if he has a day where, because I spend a lot of time away from home and then I come back, and so there's always a re-entry period of like, if I'm home for 3 days, it's like we're on holiday together and then I disappear. But right now I'm back for like the month of June, and I know I'm getting under his feet. I know he has a routine and I've kind of ruined it. And so my job is to not be upset by that, and to just understand that I'm the one rocking the boat here. I actually am very lucky to have a partner that never complains that I've been traveling for 8 weeks non-stop. From place to place doing comedy while he's at home working 12-hour shifts as a nurse, having to get up extra early to walk our 3 dogs, doing everything. So, like, I think that I also need to know when I've made mistakes and be able to, the healthy love is being able to say I'm sorry, or to prevent ever getting to the point where you make the mistake anyway.
Oh, that takes lots of compassion to.
Oh my gosh! Like I always feel like if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough in life. Like, my life has been a collection, just a gorgeous tapestry of fuck ups that have led me to these. If I look at all the things that have happened in my life, the moments of sheer brilliance are like 1 to 1,000. There's been awkward conversations, broken hearts, messing up, friends that didn't want to talk to me anymore, doing the wrong thing, being dishonest, to get to where I am now in a life where most of the time I'm doing pretty good. But half of the time I don't know if I'm making mistakes unless someone tells me as well, right? So I'm sure to surround myself with people who, when they pull me up on my behaviour, I know they're doing it because they love me, not because they're trying to be an asshole. And if you're surrounded by people who are just trying to keep you down so they feel better about themselves, which was me and my drinking, because, they didn't need to look at themselves as long as I was messing up. Now I have people that are like, Ian, you know that thing you said was a bit, I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm really sorry, I hadn't eaten that day and I was a bit too direct. You know, that's not someone, that's someone who's trying to keep a relationship with me, not trying to end a relationship with me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, gosh. And isn't that like wise to orient ourselves towards people who are interested in having a relationship with us, not like with the imperfections, with the mistakes that we make, and then for us to like claim those mistakes as well. Yeah. And I think coming up from my own complex trauma, like I feel like I couldn't allow myself to make mistakes. I would feel so bad. But even though it's just a natural human experience. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, as we come close to the end of our episode today, like, is there anything we haven't mentioned that you felt like you want to talk about?
I feel like, so the other day I had a conversation with someone who kept saying, this person needs to do the work, that person needs to do the work, my father needs to get therapy and blah, blah. Like, if you're listening to this and you've got this far into the episode and I haven't completely upset every gay person I know, like, nobody has to do anything, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, it is absolutely your responsibility to learn to navigate a world that is not about you.
Yes.
Like, I'm not getting up in the morning and being like, how can I be my best self for Yoky today? Like, that didn't fucking cross my mind. Yeah.
I'm so hurt.
No one's thinking, what can I do to not upset Ian? Like, I know that. Like, humble yourself, you fucking idiot, right? What is wrong with you? Like, that you think there's 8 billion people and they're all going to go to therapy for you, right? If the common denominator in all your problems is you're the fucking problem, right? Life never goes my way, but I have learned to respond and not react, right? I didn't grow up with the parents I wanted. I haven't seen my parents since I was 19. I'm nearly 42. I've had to grieve the family I never had. I've had to be jealous of what other people's families, because I thought they had it better than me. I've had to, be annoyed at not growing up with money, be annoyed at all that. But you know what? I have the most remarkable life. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm glad I was homeless. I was delighted I'm an addict. But I've done work on myself, because no matter what you throw at me, I know I will love myself anyway. And that's the only love in the world you can guarantee, is the love that you have for yourself. So if you're running around saying my mum needs therapy, my dad needs to go to AA, you go and get your own shit together.
Exactly.
Right? Because if your ability to have a good life is dependent on other people changing, you are always going to be upset. Because there's always going to be someone else that isn't meeting your imaginary standards. And can I just say, I don't meet my own standards like probably 40% of the time. Right? And my partner always points this out to me, because something will happen and he'll like, oh, if I did that, you would have been annoyed at me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I can't even meet my own standards. So, like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life is not about you. Like, there's so many people out there. No one cares about your stuff. Like, nobody really cares about your triggers. Nobody's responsible for your addictions. Nobody it needs to adapt for your mental health. Like, you have to find a way, and I know it sounds harsh, to navigate a world that isn't designed for your ADHD, isn't considering your gender identity, doesn't care for your sexuality, isn't worried about your chronic fatigue. Like, it's your job to advocate for yourself. It's your job to speak up, and it's your job to not, offense is taken, not given. And I really stand by that. Like, if you're in a room waiting for a reason to be upset, you need more therapy, right? Like, you need to find a way to exist. It is a privilege to be so triggered and take so many sick days, and to be able to say, I'm not doing it unless this happens. I got a Filipino partner. He doesn't seem to ever stop, right? But he comes from a country where they didn't get to just take 6 months off for mental health problems, right? They didn't have that luxury. And I'm a comedian, I'm self-employed, I'm on tour. I don't get to have sick days, right? To follow my dreams. dreams require sacrifice. Nobody told you it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've just decided that for yourself. So my big takeaway is my life got better when I look at what I can do in every situation to make myself feel better. And it doesn't mean stay at a home under the blanket eating chocolate ice cream. It's fucking going out and doing it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a. Thank you for saying that. That's a lovely way to end our podcast today.
Thank you, Yoky.
And I love you so much.
I love you too.
I'll give you a hug.
Oh my god, it's you!
It's you.
It's like blind date. She smells like pork. What am I kidding?
You're the real piggy.
Thank you.
Thank you.